Hey YouTubers, welcome back. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Stella.
And we're the Drawing Duo. We're here to do another drawing video today. The last couple of videos we did things about organic versus geometric shapes to characters. Today we're going to work on head shapes and objects that can kind of inspire them. And in order to do that, we're going to look at
Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold. We're going to look at a few characters from Hey Arnold because it's a good example of head shapes. So that's where we're going to start. I hope you enjoy the video, and let's get started, okay? Okay, to get started, we're going to take a look at characters from Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold's a really cool example of the head shapes because each one of the characters has kind of a unique shape to their heads, and they're inspired by what appears to be everyday objects. I found an example of this online one time. I can't seem to find it anymore, but it showed the different everyday objects that kind of inspired the head shape. So we'll take a look at three characters, and we'll start with Arnold. If you look at Arnold's head, his head is either kind of a flat football or it's like a wok for stir frying food. So one side is kind of this arc to it, and the other side's a little flat. So if you look at, you can kind of see how it'd be maybe a football. If you had handles on it, you could see it's a wok. That's one of the things that's interesting is even his ears sit out here. And it's almost kind of like the handles on a wok. And so one side has this kind of arc to it, and then a little flatter, a little straighter on the other side. He's got, his eyes are kind of set far apart. One even kind of can break outside of the shape of the head. And his nose is kind of a backward C, almost in the center of the head, a little off center. In this instance, he's kind of got half eyelids going on, and his pupils are right in the center. He's got a little hat that sits just above his nose. It's almost like a little bit of a half circle and then a little bit of a brim that comes out. And he's got this crazy hair that comes out from behind the hat. It's these big kind of pointy, kind of flame looking things. And they get kind of smaller as they get down to his ear. And that's didn't turn out super great there. But again, that's why we like to use pencils here. If you use pencils, it's okay. You screw up, you go back, you erase, and you give it another go. And the more you try the lines and you work at the lines, the better you get to know the character. And the other side is kind of similar, where he's got these big spikes that come up. And they kind of curve down a little bit. That's rough. It's a rough version of him. But what's interesting is if you kind of think of a wok is this kind of household object that's like an oval, and that's a big kind of open bottom, and you have handles on it. And it's funny because if you flip that upside down, you get kind of the base shape of Arnold.
Yeah, it does.
So that's Arnold. We're going to take a look at Helga. Helga's got an interesting shape to her head. Her head is almost like a candy, those kind of candies that are kind of like balls, spheres, and they're wrapped in wrapping. So if you imagine kind of the wrapping is twisted here, and you have the candy inside there. So if you use that shape, kind of the base center of her head will be that sphere, and then she's got these wings of hair that come out. And we're right now just kind of roughing in the location of the stuff. And she got another one on the other side. And Helga's always kind of grumpy, which is unfortunate. Be better if she was a little happier. This one maybe got a little long, so we're going to shorten it a little bit because she's kind of looking to an angle. So Helga's got these two eyes just about where her hair meets. her head, one there, and one there. And then she's got this furrowed brow, like, oh, grumpy. And we'll take a look at expressions in future videos, talk about grumpy versus happy, sad versus scared. But she's kind of got this grumpy, furrowed brow.
That was funny. Like, grumpy.
Oh, grumpy. She's a grumpy one. And then she's got a little bit of this nose that kind of comes up. It's kind of a C, but it has a little more kind of organicness to it. Like that. Cuts over her eye a little bit. You can erase that little cross line. And then she's got the pupils without the little light in them, just black pupils.
Totally black.
And then her kind of cheekbone comes down, but instead of following the line, it kind of comes out in this upper lip, this defined upper lip, and crossing down. And then this comes down to her neck. And she's got an ear right around where her other part of hair is.
Look at mine. It's funny.
Yeah. Looks good. Looks good. And then she's got the other side of her head comes down here. Her hair, she has kind of this arch that goes across the top here. And she's got these kind of triangles that come up from there. And her hair kind of ends about the same way where the eyebrow does. And you get a little bit of the dome going behind her hair here. And then she's got this swoop from up here back to here. And this doesn't go all the way in. This is this. So I did this a little too low. I missed the point here. So I'm going to erase this just to give some cleanness here so we can kind of see what we're getting at. We have a little bit of her head that kind of comes in here. And then there's an arch that she kind of goes up and then it arches down to by her ear. Her hair goes out. And then she's got this kind of this bow on top of her head. A little square in the center. And she goes out. And you just kind of give her this little bow look. And just got a little loop inside the bow here. The other side, she's got the bow. A loop there. And her neck, and when you finish her up, you start kind of defining the lines. And she's got a couple, oops. Little lines there in her hair to define parts of her hair.
Split the hair.
And you can just kind of erase some of the leftover lines. Clean her up a little bit. In a future video, we'll talk about inking. Kind of using some ink, some pens to define your shape after you've defined it with a, kind of start it with a pencil, then you define it with a pen. And she has a little bit in the ear here, a little detail in the ear. But that's Helga. If you notice that, if you think of this as kind of a candy here, that's like twisted here, you can totally see how that would inspire her head shape.
Also, if you cut out the like pigtails, it would look kind of like a soccer ball.
It would look kind of like a soccer ball without the sides of the hair, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll move on to the next character. The last character example we're going to look at is Gerald from Hey Arnold. Now, Gerald's interesting because he appears to be maybe an ice cream scoop. So if you think of like an ice cream scoop, you have the cylinder handle, and you have the scoop out here. A little dimension to the scoop. And the handle connects with it. You know, it looks like
You could also
delicious ice cream will be scooped with that, and you got the handle there. And I know a lot of times they have that kind of thing off to the side where you push the scoop out, but we'll forget that part. So that's kind of the shape that Gerald's based off of. So we're going to use that, get away some of the eraser dust, and we're going to kind of create Gerald from that. So we've got our handle here. We're just going to draw lightly because we're doing kind of the early lines, so you draw light. Use your pencil. We're going to kind of put where the handle would end. I think my handle's maybe a little too wide, so I'm going to make it a little more narrow here and erase. Okay. And then we kind of have the part come out from the scoop, and we're going to create the scoop section. So that kind of an angle, the way he's posed here. So we're going to create kind of that part of it and then bring it out here. So it's as though there's dimension to it. Okay, so there's our ice cream scoop. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to erase the center, the middle line here. And we'll just kind of keep filling in these little lines. And where the hand of the ice cream scoop would be his hair. So we're going to put these kind of wavy curls. And they're just kind of a series of arcs to create what looks kind of like an afro. And you can get rid of the excess lines in there. At some point, I'm just going to clean them up a little bit so you can kind of start to see his hair shape come out. Okay, and then we'll do some arcs down here to show his hairline. And then we got his head shape, and we're going to do kind of straight across about the middle. He's got these ears that stick out, and then he's got little ears down here. He's got an eye that kind of comes up over his cheek up here, and he's got an eye about 2/3 over here, right there, and we got the pupils in here.
Oops, and they're a bit big.
And he's got this kind of big, wide, oval nose. And he's got a little smile going on the side here. And his neck comes down here. And this kind of goes up in his head, and you can kind of start to see how Gerald starts to form. It's funny because start with an ice cream scoop and you get a character head. So we're going to add in a little details here. And we're missing his eyebrows. He's got these little eyebrows out here. And when we think back on our early videos, we talked about organic versus geometric. And these are pretty organic shapes, so they're going to take some practice. It's hard to get the dimensions right, but you just keep practicing, keep giving it a go. His face here is a little more oval. I made it a little too circle, a little too round, so I'm going to just kind of add some ovalness to it so his face has a little more ovalness to it. And there you have Gerald. That is Gerald from Hey Arnold. Okay, now that we've looked at Hey Arnold, now we want you to pause the video and go out and find an everyday object in your house. We have these objects here that we're taking a look at. And when you get your object, come back, unpause the video, and we'll get started. So we've chosen 3 objects here, and we're going to use those as different shapes for heads. And so we're just going to draw a couple different ones here. And Stella's going to draw something, I'm going to draw something, and we'll just kind of see what we come up with. So let's get started. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. So you take your object and you figure out with I'm going to do this one here first.
I'm going to try this one.
And she's going to try that one. And I am going to take the bowl and I'm going to draw it from the top down, because what I see is I see big lips from a singing fish. And so I'm drawing that ring on the bottom, and then I'm going to exaggerate a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit of an oval here instead of the circle it is. I'm going to put big fish eyes.
Big fish eyes.
Big fish eyes. Glub glub.
Glub glub.
And put a little fish fin. And how's your drawing going?
Okay, I have a really good idea for mine. So this is gonna be like the hair.
Okay.
Or like a hat. This is like a hat, and this is like gonna be the hair, and then it's got like a super small head.
That'll be really good. I've got these big fish lips.
Big fish lips.
And I'll put little fins down here from him.
Do you see mine coming into shape? Looks like a little.
Yes, that looks great.
A little guy. Can I add a body too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you guys following at home want to add a body to yours as well, go for it. So there's my quick sketch. Nothing fancy, but looks like a fish. And it's just a start. It's a simple shape that I can start with, and then I can move on from there and change positions.
He's like holding up his hat.
And he's got little bubbles coming. Bloop, bloop.
And this is him holding up his hat.
And he's holding up his head. There you
and
go.
Then he's just like.
So I'm going to take a look at this seashell one, and the seashell kind of inspires me to have this
I'm gonna do this
character
seashell.
here. And the character has a crazy hairdo, and I'm gonna make it this is just rough. We're just kind of sketching right now, so we're not looking at making these.
I will try it.
And we're gonna draw a little nose here. And our hair hangs a little bit over our eyes here. I'm going to put the tongue, because the face is kind of facing this way, I'm going to put the tongue kind of over here. Little tongue there. We'll give her some ears. A little bit of the ears over here. And we'll draw our hair in a little bit cleaner. We've got some hair down here.
Okay, I drew my seashell, now I'm just gonna add in the face.
And as you start to kind of add some strokes, your character comes to life. We'll kind of define her face a little bit.
I'm doing a Dipper Pines hat.
Dipper Pines hat, there you go. We'll get rid of this. And you have a seashell becoming a character. And how's yours?
Pretty good. I'm making mine into it. This is like the hair, and then I'm gonna have the eyes like right here.
Very cool. So that's kind of taking shapes, everyday household objects, and creating heads from them, using that as inspiration, as ways to build characters from things you have lying around the house. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed looking at Hey Arnold as an example of head shapes and how you can find head shapes in everyday objects. And maybe this will give you an opportunity to look around your house and see what objects you see nearby that you could create heads of characters out of. In the next few videos, we'll look into
Eyes, noses, and mouths.
eyes, noses, and mouths. There's so many different shapes for eyes, noses, and mouths. We're going to start kind of building little elements for the face so that you can start kind of honing your own character and figuring out what your character is going to look like. So thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you next time.